It's the principal pleasure to be joined by my co-host, Semi-Pro, who's going old school with the banquet beer to kick things off. It is an honor to be joined by a Navy SEAL. Jack Riggins is the name. The commander is the, I guess you could say, AKA. I don't even know if alias would be the right word. And then the one and only, the pride of Minnesota, radio talk show host, political pundit, strategist. Guy will get you out of any trouble. His name is Blois Olson, a.k.a. Blaze. Gentlemen, appreciate your time. Now, Blaze, we're going to jump right in with you. You're under the weather. Commander and I were talking. Dude, what's up? You trying to work yourself to death? What's going on? Why the work ethic? How about a day off?
No days off. Because you got to work hard in the winter in Minnesota so you can golf during the summer, JB.
Yeah, how does that work? I was actually talking to Nieder Gang, and like this whole Midwest life is a completely different concept. Like Commander's talking about, dude, the course isn't open. You're talking about fucking melt meters or some shit. Like mind blown. Is it just hibernate, work your ass off, and then you're just chilling all summer?
Well, you're chilling, or you're just. I try to be done by 3 every day.
That's a good happy hour.
I'm up early. I can look out my window at Minneapolis Golf Club. I can say, oh, it's not very busy. I can look at the tee sheet. I can walk up, play 18, have a couple, do it all over again.
Now, Blaze, I can tell you're in love because you've got a big birthday coming up. You're going on a trip, Nashville, 0 fucking golf involved. What's up, bro?
First and foremost, the birthday already happened.
Happy birthday.
Second,
don't let facts get in the way of a good story, JB.
Second, Kent and Brian did ask if I wanted to play golf. And I still have 3 days to try to persuade my way into the schedule. And if you guys were going to Nashville, we'd be golfing. I'll just tell you that way.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you some advice. If you have love, if you have a bride, get her nowhere near that hot mofo Kent and Brian. Like that dude is stealing women. Like the panties just drop. Right, I mean, like, he's a good-looking dude, man.
Dude, good-looking and a musician. Like, it's just
right.
Your girl.
We're going to dinner. We're going to dinner with Kenton on Friday. I'll report back to see if I'm still, if I still have a girlfriend or not.
I mean,
and he's not. He's a good stick too.
Subway.
What? Yeah, the stick. He can play the guitar. He's got nothing going for him. He's married to a doctor.
I just love how they met, though. You know, like you know, they did the social game and all that, and I'm like, so I was talking to her, and I'm like, hey, so what was it so attractive to Ken? And she goes, well, his occupation said researcher, and I'm like, that's a
JB,
that's
JB,
a veteran boy.
There you
right
go,
there.
JB. There's your secret.
Hold on, I'm taking notes on my Tinder because I can't play the guitar, so
can't play golf either.
Oh, dude, nobody can play golf. Anybody who tells you they're good at golf is full of shit. That much I do.
Especially on this podcast.
Exactly.
There's so many levels, isn't there? I will say this, the answer the Blois gave was acceptable. I was waiting for something else to hammer him and drop it, but I get it. Like you got to work hard when the weather's crap and then open it up when we got our windows around here. And he doesn't have as many windows as I have here in Nebraska.
No, you guys already played this year, I heard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. So we have not been open since I think the first week of December.
And we've only been shut down 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The whole winter.
Well, and you guys got snow last week, right?
Yeah, but I mean that it melts.
It was gone. It was gone the same day. I know.
Yeah, I mean, we've totally called in climate change just over Nebraska so that we can play golf pretty much all year round now.
Well, you know,
I love how you can just flip a switch.
Snow means stupider things in California and Arizona than obviously it does in the Midwest. I got to jump feet in first. Not every day we have a Navy SEAL on. Jack, what the hell? Let's talk Ukraine really quick. I got to know the answer to this. Like, how much are the SEALs and the people behind the scenes, like, looking at all the different options, like Putin going completely nuclear to let's just cut this guy off and cut the head off the snake, which apparently they're trying to go with right now.
Tell it how it is, Jack.
Get us a real scoop, not the CNN.
Get us canceled. I want to be canceled after this. Tell us what's going on.
Well, if I knew the real scoop, I'd still be on active duty, and I am retired. So retired SEAL, yes, you could call me retired. You know, I'll say this here, 2 things. first of all, the military as an organization, special ops, they're constantly planning. So even if they're at major war, they're still planning worldwide for contingencies everywhere, literally from nuclear war down to, the latest when I left was like, Arctic planning, right? For the future resource war as the Arctic melts. So for the most part, nothing changes necessarily militarily. They might bust out a plan for Eastern Europe that's been war gamed a bunch of times over 20, 30 years. And obviously, based on the situation, try to update it and for lack of a better term, best guess. Now they're going to do that as professional military people, right? That's the whole reason the Pentagon exists, is to be ready for contingencies globally. As far as the real conflict goes, listen, it's a wild deal as I understand it. I would say, and I've already said, on my radio show as well as anywhere, listen, the U.S. just needs to do everything in its power not to escalate the conflict. And I know that's not the answer probably some people want to hear. But what it is in military speak, or Blois probably would also know in Washington and State Department speak, is it's a regional conflict right now. And you want to keep it in the region. Specifically, you want to keep it inside Ukraine. You certainly don't want it to move to Poland, Slovakia, and any more west into NATO countries. So you have to work real hard, whole of government approach, whole of NATO approach, pressure on China to keep it a regional conflict. And I think, that's what's really hard, right? Is you have somebody that has the forces to go beyond a regional conflict for whatever reason he chooses. And that's why we are struggling, in my opinion, with things like no-fly zones, things like what exactly should we give in aid, and not just the United States, but mainly the NATO countries. So I think we've made some good decisions during this thing. And I think we've also maybe pre this thing made some bad decisions as America that kind of bolstered the fact that it might happen, and now it's happened. And that's, I guess, what you go back to as an American, thinking, there is a reason that we need good leadership across all of government. Deterrence, if you will, is a big deal. And it's not just a big deal to mainland America, it's a big deal to all of our allies. So in that sense, I mean, I think, you could shoot holes in everything and you could talk positives. In the end of the day, I will hope that our leaders right now are all about de-escalating and keeping it a regional conflict.
Yeah, I'd just say from the diplomacy standpoint, I agree with Jack on all of it. And one thing that listeners should be aware of, and you guys should just think about, is right now this is a bipolar conflict. When you start to get into a multipolar conflict, that's when world wars happen. And so when Jack talks about regional isolation, it's regionally isolating it, but it's also not starting another battle with somebody else who could then, decide to jump in, like China or others. And so isolation of the conflict that exists right now is critical. And I would just say this, one thing we've learned, and Jack would know way more about this than me, but one thing we've known is when we've shown our strength in the last 40 years, quickly and solidly, these conflicts have been shorter. When we drag our feet before showing, quote, shock and awe, and that doesn't need to be military force, okay? But before we really say the gravity of this is that severe, then they've drug on. And I think everybody wants to try to finish this thing as quickly as possible. And I think the only thing that's changed in the last 2 weeks from the conflict itself is the challenges Russia has had in taking land that I don't think anybody thought they would have. I mean, I think people perceived that there wouldn't be much fight back, that others wouldn't engage. And that just tells me that the no-fly zone and some other tools in the toolbox, as they say, that deter and slow Russia's ability to progress are really, really important, to not have this linger for years. And maybe we can get out of there in a year, maybe a little more than a year, but it's going to be a year.
So Jack,
Go ahead.
real quick. So Jack touched on this in the Out of Nowhere podcast with Woodhead and Slauson, two of our highly intellectual buddies that we love so much. But you were talking about the dime effect, right? Mm-hmm. And how basically right now, the first thing that you can do is cripple them economically. And and then you just touched upon how we're trying to keep this ordeal to a regional escalation. Yeah. If when does it start to become, I mean, just for the listeners back home, when does it start to become from lack of a better, a non-regional deal? Is it if they go up into Poland? Is it if I mean when does that fine line start where now we sit there and go, hey, we got to step in and maybe do something, maybe even beyond economically or whatnot. I mean, I don't think anybody really wants that, but when do you come to that point?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. So I'll give the quick re-education on dime real quick, right? It's essentially the way that we use our national power for our national interest. You could think of it like a strategy between everybody in politics and the military, and it stands for diplomatic power, informational power, military power, and economic power. Now, maybe they've moved on to something in the last couple of years since I've been retired, but generally speaking, we work along those lines for national interest. And as I was explaining on the OON pod, ultimately, we've said from the get-go in this one, hey, we're going to, not engage militarily. Now, it doesn't mean we're not eventually or something like that, but we've kind of taken that one off the table, so to speak. Now, have we really, meaning when the Russians invaded the eastern side of Ukraine back in 2014, I was still on active duty, have we trained Ukrainians and supplied them weapons? I'm sure we have, right? So we have been militarily helping the Ukrainians throughout the years, but direct conflict, right? Or the analogy would be, hey, the Russians came in here, as Blois said, oh my God, they're pretty inept by military standards so far, right? I mean, really, they have been, which I think is shocking. But we're not going to necessarily go in there and do a Gulf War I and just get them out quickly like we did Saddam Hussein when he invaded Kuwait. So we pulled the M off the table. Diplomatically, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. That's back channels, that's State Department. Everybody's working and talking with their counterparts. But we did do some good informational stuff before before the actual invasion. And I think that threw off the timing for the Russians, which allowed the Ukrainians to fortify and be prepared better, as well as allies to get more aid and to start getting, refugees out. And I mean, that's been well documented. The intelligence that we shared and when we shared it, and probably mass media effects to cause the Russians, for lack of a better term, to lose kind of that initial step. Nonetheless, they went ahead and did it. Now, economic, we've seen that since I did that podcast. We've seen that now start to happen. And it's not just the US, but a lot of people have said, okay, hey, we're going to, throw sanctions and economically try to stop it or halt or hurt Russia. But those four things, if you will, are how we look at problems as America. Going back to the region thing, Blois is exactly right. Right now, you essentially have checkers. You have Russians and you have Ukrainians that are staying to fight. Okay. What's hard, I think, in this one is, nobody really knows, or it's certainly classified and there's leaks, but nobody really knows Putin's full intentions. I mean, he could just want Ukraine like he has said. He could want half of it. He could want to expand the war. We don't exactly know what China wants out of this. What we know is China said it was okay to do, at least to the Russians. And we know that in the UN Security Council, they were like, yeah, it's okay. And so we have to be careful not to have that third party, even if that was us, right, get involved, because then we move from checkers to chess to 4D, 6D space, and it gets really confusing. To your point, and that would be why I say regionalize, let's keep it at checkers. To your point, though, this is where understanding treaties and understanding great leadership comes in, is that according to the NATO doctrine and treaties, right, if one NATO country is involved or invaded, we're all in. Every NATO country has pledged that if one NATO country is invaded, therefore by the not the world, not the Hague, but the big international law, that's an act of war, right? So we would say, and boys, you might know better than me, but we would say, okay, he's invaded Poland, therefore it's an act of war. NATO now says, okay, we're all together, and they can justify, believe it or not, people quote unquote justify wars in certain aspects. The reality is whoever wins the war ends up writing the rules, but that's where we would say this could spill right into NATO would be the most risky with regard to US interests. And I will say this, this isn't the first time, although I don't think people were paying attention as much in northern Syria and ISIS in northern Iraq, well, I should say all of Syria, is that we did have the Russians get involved in that. And they got involved on the side of Syria under the international banner of defense of an ally to Bashar Assad in one way. The other way that they got involved was just like us in fighting terrorism. So they used the justification of helping Syria, an ally of theirs, with terrorism, but at the same time, they were also making sure their guy stayed in power in Syria had something crazy happened. And so we had a lot of US, Russian, probably Israeli, Jordanian, and then obviously ISIS and different Iraqi elements, Iranian elements would have been on the ground there, all kind of running around the same battle space. And obviously we were able to keep that into a very small, well, Turkey was involved too. So we were able to play together nicely, but that's very different than this situation where there's been a full invasion of a sovereign country, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
We're gonna have to look across that dime spectrum and every day and everything that comes in along with our allies to find out, in my opinion, what's the right thing to de-escalate, but at the same time, what's the right thing to do for the terrible loss of life that's going on. And so I'll give you a point. And I struggle with this, and I think a lot of veterans do. Based on what I see on TV and what I read, everything happening, that to me is a perfect justification why you and I's tax dollars pays for that awesome military we have, right? To protect people from the carnage we see going on. Right? Like, I'm like, well, there it is. Like, look at this suffering. But you got to take the aperture way out. While this sucks, there's so much suffering going on in the world that at the same time, I don't believe this would be the right application of our military might. And so, what's happening is happening, and the enemy has a vote.
Blaze, speaking of votes, look, you're out there, your boots on the ground, you hear the people, they call your shows, you're listening, you're doing your job, you're in the mix. I think everyone agrees from at least an American standpoint. I would imagine most people worldwide, this is a messed up deal and people want to see Russia out of Ukraine. But I think therein lies the question from a standpoint of what do the people want? How do they want it to end? Or what lengths are they willing to say, okay, this is what we need to do as a nation to stop this?
Well, I think what we know right now is there's overwhelming public support to do what we need to do to support Ukraine. If that is, tougher prices at the, how it actually happens and what's really happening are two different things. But how do American voters see it? They see the need for some sacrifice. But let's also remember that I think Americans are less patient than they've ever been. I think the last 2 years with the pandemic have shown us that. And so what's our tolerance? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years for, a different economy, for a different global diplomatic situation? And, we have a midterm election this year. We have a presidential election in 2 years. All of that is to be said that we have to just see where we go as a people, because internally it's like a Rubik's Cube. You turn one thing and you think you've solved one side and you haven't solved the other side. I mean, the economy, national security, and public safety, I believe, will be the top 3 issues of this election. That's really good news for Republicans. But American voters are a little moody sometimes, and so that might not be good in 2 years. And you just, Democrats can promise a lot of stuff in 2 years. The party in power is always being squeezed. But I'll just go back to Jack's point. Leaders lead. And this is one of those moments where, from the State of the Union, which Jack previewed fairly accurately, it became that was a pivot point for the Biden administration. If they can pivot and start going in the right direction, I don't think they can make up lost ground for this year, but it could mean more on this Ukraine issue for the rest of the term. And it might give them a pivot point if, fuel prices come down, inflation stabilizes, those kinds of things. But the economic issues we have here have been pent up for years. The labor supply issues have been pent up for years. And at some point you have to deal with your issues like any good middle-aged man. And we're all dealing with our issues.
Blaze, you're a problem solver. I akin you to the wolf in Pulp Fiction, my favorite movie of all time. Look, if you're representing Phil Mickelson or Phil Mickelson calls you tomorrow, how are you bailing him out of this hole he's dug himself? Because right now people want to crush Phil Mickelson, right? The one thing I'll give the American people credit for, whether it's Charlie Sheen, Johnny Depp, I mean, people have hit some all-time lows. I mean, my God, Rob Lowe was, on camera with an underage girl, and they always make comebacks, right? There's no way.
Look at Mike Dominic.
100%, man. I was gonna bust in and say what I think about what is going on in Ukraine from the common, or no, not Ukraine, even in the United States, from the common American man. Obviously we're gonna pivot. The one thing I'll say, the one thing before we move on from Ukraine, the thing that really pisses me off, and this is a middle of the aisle thing. How on earth are you a Joe Biden voter? And then you knew all of this was basically going to happen if you voted for the guy. And then Ukraine gets invaded, and then you're out there on social media going hashtag pray for Ukraine. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, come on.
This is just as a realist on Twitter.
As a realist, I'm just saying, it's like, oh man, I had no idea the guy's foreign policy was terrible. Well, did you do any research on the guy? I'm just saying, like, well,
Mike Dominic and his pronouns are gonna bring this up.
Oh God,
but
Jesus. I know you all saw that Twitter rant.
Mike, the fact of the matter is, very, very, very few voters vote on foreign policy. Period.
Oh, I get that. It is an international nap day, though.
Well, they took an hour from us yesterday. Blaze,
it's also learn as much as you can about Butterflies Day.
Wow.
Going south. Big time.
Real quick. I can't wait to hear the Mickelson thing, but I want to ask Blois this because I think it has to do with what Mikey was just saying. So my observation, and I want to know yours, Blois, is that we're stuck in the last couple of years in hyper partisanship, meaning the elected officials, for the most part, are just, whether you want to call it loyalties or kind of in their decision trees, to Mike's point about people voting and even voters, they're just stuck in, hey man, it's got to be left or it's got to be right. And very few people crossing aisles and getting stuff done. What do you think on that?
Well, I just don't think, I mean, I think that's what our leaders are doing.
Right.
That's what our electeds are doing. But I think the voters, I mean, cable news viewership before Ukraine, Russia conflict was low. Those of us who watch this, follow it, tweet, Facebook, whatever we do, listen to talk radio, produce talk radio, we follow it really closely. Here's the fact is 1% of Americans watch Fox News. Less than 1% watch CNN. Less than 1% watch MSNBC. But yet that drives the headlines. That drives the narrative the next day. You guys know, I know, other than Mike Dominic, who just lives a life of leisure, that most people just want to get their kids to sports. They just want to go to church. They want to go to work. They want to come home. They want to have a cold one. They want to play golf. They want to go on a vacation. They don't want to watch cable news. They don't want to fight about politics. I mean, I have two things on the Blois Olson metric of the pandemic will be officially open when drinking water fountains reopen and when to-go spaces, curbside pickup spaces at retailers, are minimal, and I can park close and walk in the store because my spur of the moment purchase is going to make more money than that curbside purchase. Those are my pandemic measurements.
Well, you're going to get the fountain well before you get that parking spot back. I hate to break the news to you.
Well, I just went to a retailer and there was 5 spots open and 20 of us parking in the other spots. And I spent $110 on cough medicine.
I can't even believe you said like public fountain water. I mean, you're not even cool in America if you don't overpay for water.
Right. Bottled water. South
that's
Park
one of our freedoms. Like bottled water out of the same spigot. I'll just go buy it at the store and pollute the ocean with plastic. I mean, that's part of the freedom I defended.
I'll just say this, Blaze. I want to be left alone. I want to play my golf. I want to hang out with my wife to be, drink my wine, get my $2 a gallon gas. But it just seems like people keep trying to interfere with what I'm trying to do. And that really sucks in my opinion.
Mike Dominic, you played golf today. You had a few cocktails. Probably the only person who interfered with your life today was the 3 voices in your head over a 4-foot putt and your soon-to-be wife.
I was 100%. I was 100% over 4-footers today because I didn't have to putt one because my team was solid from 4 feet in. From 5 feet in, we were shaking a little bit. Okay. That's the deal. And when I say I play golf today, it was all for charity. So
nobody got in your way. Cool. Nobody interfered with your life.
Phoenix, well, just the other pro that, yeah, he didn't.
Did the government make him, Mike? Did the government make him do it?
When I filled up for gas on my way home, I was like,
yeah, life is hard.
Man.
Okay, you know what?
It's tough. It's tough. I had to drive uphill on the way home.
Screw the Phil Mickelson question. It's Mikey's bachelor party this weekend. We'll get back to it if you want to hear it. All right, look, it's Mikey's bachelor party in Cabo this weekend. You guys have both been married. What advice do you have for MD, semi-pro, as he crosses the border to Cabo San Lucas for a weekend of one last hurrah?
Debauchery?
You said it, not me.
Drunken debauchery.
Here I have one piece of advice for Mike Dominic. You have not proven that you're very good at escaping the lasso. So just know that this is your last weekend where you are not lassoed for the rest of your life.
Shit. I tell you what, so we've known about this for how long, JB? 3 or 4 months now?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you've gotten this thing completely dialed. It's why you're the guy, the man, the myth, the legend that we all know. And I get a call last Thursday from Riley Arp, at a Colorado State University golf team, who says, "Hey, before you yell at me, I just want to let you know I just took my passport out of the safe and it's expired." How do you have something going on for 4 months and not know that your fucking passport is expired?
Is Riley married?
No, but it takes him an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. I'm just and here's the thing. Riggins has played with him in Call of Duty. He has. We've invaded Warzone together. I mean, it's just how do you
working
not
on those
know?
open field tactics?
Open field tactics, 20 feet apart, sniper in the back. If you flank, go around the circle. I mean, I feel like I am a Navy SEAL. The next, okay, so I actually want to go back to this Phil Mickelson question because I think it's really important. I think a lot of people have touched on this, but in my opinion, from a golf standpoint or just a life standpoint, I don't think there was anything that Phil Mickelson said that was wrong. We talked about this on the podcast, whether it was I think it was our last guest when we had Wyndham on. I don't think he said anything that was wrong. But every time you have something good come out of something that you need, there's always a martyr, right? There's always a martyr. And when the PGA Tour and majors is making $500 million, and they're only giving a certain low percentage of the product, I think he was spot on. He was spot on in that. The way he was talking about the sides with their way of life, he just told it how it was, and there wasn't anything wrong with it. Now, when you have corporate Fortune 500 sponsorships, that doesn't really fly with them, apparently. But that is just my opinion. We're not about facts here, getting in the way of a good story. But you, Blaze, give your opinion. I want to hear it. Want to hear what you think.
Everybody freaked out for no reason. I understand KPMG pulling back. They're a global firm. They may have contracts with governments that Phil talked about.
How do you think? But notice it said KPMG US.
But just wait. Here's number 2. Callaway, they are what we call bedwetters. Okay. They got nervous and they wet the bed. They did not need to leave Phil. Not to mention, somebody else is going to come along and pay Phil. As you guys saw in the text thread, I said we should just have sub 70 start sending Phil clubs to the greatest PR stunt ever. Now, all of that said, here are the rules that I try to tell people. First and foremost, you got to find a moment where you make the other side react to you. Everybody was reacting to Phil, so Phil was winning. And then Phil reacted to them, and then he started to lose. So he needs to do that. Second, and this is the golden rule of all of these business sponsorships and all of the reputational stuff you see. What does it mean to the bottom line? And who is the audience? And I think I can guarantee you the Callaway was going to lose fewer sales from what Phil said than PXG lost from sponsoring Patrick Reed from their driver with the driver. I'm just telling you that, like, nobody in the Callaway club audience was like, oh, I'm not going to play Callaway because Phil plays them. Meanwhile, I have a perfectly good set of PXGs that I can't be seen with because Patrick Reed plays them now.
That is a wild card, absolute wild card move, because I watched him at Kapalua, right? And I'm sitting there going, okay, what's Patrick Reed gonna play this week? The guy loses a club sponsor every other day and gains a new one. The almost more surprising, he looks like a fucking NASCAR billboard.
Look
up here with people that want to sponsor him.
Here's the best Patrick Reed sponsorship story. People have actually sent out press releases when he's worn their gear to say, we are not sponsoring Patrick Reed, even though he wore our brand this week.
So, Blaze, what advice are you going to give Phil?
Be Phil.
Yeah, dude.
You know what?
I love that.
How long is he out of the game? I mean, I don't know when we're going to see this guy again.
He is suspended, and the PGA Tour never misses suspending anybody, but that's why he's not playing the Commissioner's Open, as John Peterson calls it. He is suspended, guaranteed. They're just not saying it.
If I'm Phil, I drop a Twitter or social media, Instagram video in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Probably in the next week, because I do it and say, hey, I want to play the Masters. Hope to see everybody there and watch the whole world go crazy.
I hope he plays the Masters because I'm going to be there on Sunday.
If there is one tournament, MD, tell me if I'm right. If there's one tournament that would look at the PGA and say, sorry, he's playing, it'd be the Masters, right?
It would 100% be the Masters. They control their own destiny. They're the only major tournament that is not in bed with the USGA, PGA Tour, or whatever, because it's Augusta. But I guarantee you, if Phil plays the Masters and I'm there on Sunday and he's in contention, I am putting a turban on with KPMG on the front, and I am following Phil Mickelson. They could drag me out of there. I'm following Phil with the turban on. I think it'll be great for publicity. I might even put a sub 70 logo on there. You never know.
Sure. I can see the press release from Jason the next day saying we do not support Mike Dominic or any of his bullshit that he's pulling around.
It would, JB, it wouldn't even take till the next day.
It would be right there, instant
right
on
there,
Instagram and Twitter. Hey, Commander, before we turn you guys loose, look, I know people want Navy SEAL stories all the time, and I'm not going to put you through the Tiger Woods story because that's a big steak and a lot of wine at Dismal. But can you give us a quick anecdote when people want a SEAL story? I'm sure you get asked all the time. Something you can maybe peel back the curtain and take us a quick little peek inside.
Ooh.
Whether it's, showing the goods to Hillary Clinton, snapping legs of professionals.
Yeah.
Careful, Riggins.
Yeah, careful there. Let me go back. I'm going to think about that while I talk.
Okay.
Let me go back real quick to Mikey D's survival plan while he's at his bachelor party. So interesting setup, right? Going south. I'm going to give you classic frogman advice, which is whatever happens, whatever may transpire. You guys use the words debauchery. I did not, but the classic phrase, don't get caught. Don't get caught. See, if you don't get caught, frogman, almost anything's possible in life, right? So that would be frogman advice is whatever it may be, by whomever, don't get caught. Okay. The other though, married with 4 kids, 20 years in the teams, I would tell you is, well, you know what, man? I know you want to go do it, but maybe you just start the married life early and you just kind of chill there and get used to the new pattern of life, bro. Go with the boys, but the boys have the fun and you just kind of chill and you're daydreaming about when you can get back to the course because you start to have little ones. Getting the courses harder. There'll be more people talking to you. There'll be, you just don't come home to the couch anymore and sit down. You got things to solve, problems. I mean, maybe get a head start on the future.
I'll tell you what, man, when we come out to Minneapolis Golf Club, JB and I this summer, I'm going to bring the wife-elect. And JB and I are going to stay at Blaze's place. And I'm going to send Melissa out with Blaze's girlfriend. And they can go shopping, wine and dining, whatever they do. Granted, everything's open because I know it's COVID central up there and they're still scared. But they can go do whatever the flying hell that they want. Right. I might even give them a hotel downtown or something like that.
Nice.
Just to go and distract, because when I'm with Blaze, I want Blaze by himself.
That's an expensive weekend for all.
I was gonna say that sounds pricey because now you're married. It's your credit card that's getting used. And I have met Mrs. Blaze. She's a smoke show. You're gonna not want to keep her separated. She's a good time.
You did. You met him out in LA. We
rubbing elbows. Damn.
Jeez, man, that's
JB. JB, Jack and I have a couple key questions for you.
Oh,
in the best interest of you and MD.
Yes.
I trust. Can I grab another beer first?
Yeah, you're fine. You have 3 things that I hope you have lined up for Cabo.
Okay.
A doctor, a lawyer, and cash.
I obviously, the first and foremost, I have told all the guys to keep $150 in a Ziploc bag, specifically because you pass that COVID test or you don't pass that COVID test, you're going to need to find a pharmacist who will give you.
These are all interrelated. These are all interrelated.
Ass back. And yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. Doctor, lawyer, thank God, senior Dominic gets to be there in case we need to call in a high price lawyer.
Dude, him and Bertel are the ones that like I think we got to worry about the most.
Hey,
to be honest,
as somebody who's been single for a good 10 years now, anytime you take boys' weekends, it ain't the single guys having the most fun. It's the most married guys of all because they've got that hall pass and they are going to burn it at both ends and leave nothing left when they get back on that plane.
We also got to keep $100 in the shoe or sandal at all time in case you need to get out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
But hey, I wanted to go to Minneapolis and play golf. JB was like, we're going to Cop. I was like, all right,
Well, you can't play golf this weekend in Minneapolis unless you want to do it in a simulator or at Top Golf, which I wouldn't do to you guys. And then, I think, first of all, I've watched and listened to a few of your pods. I know that when you say wrap it up, we still have like 45 minutes left. So
JB, here's the thing, Blaze. That's complete bullshit because JB goes, let's wrap it up 30 to 40 minutes. We got 2 special guests on. Let's go for a while. I'm good. Let's bullshit.
Here's the way this group works. And I know that Slauson and Woodhead
it's that stupid radio background. Sorry, I'm used to ending shit.
I know, that's fine. But here, I think this is the pro move of 2022 so far. Jason Hyland and I are golfing in LA, and we get a text. Are you guys still in LA? What are you doing tonight? And it's from JB Mathers. We had a mini reunion from the Dismal crew, spontaneous, and everybody loves JB. I mean, everybody was excited to meet JB. Hyland and I had Diamore, one of our fraternity brothers there. He's like, the more the merrier. The best here is JB goes, are we good with a +1? Which most adults think means JB's bringing a date, but he
proof they don't know me.
Proves that they didn't know him. But I do want to know this, JB, because we have to live vicariously through you. I know you had a couple dates while you're in LA. Will you be returning to LA for something other than golf and sports?
Let's just say Tina Marie came to Humboldt County this weekend, and we had a tremendous weekend. And
God bless JB.
Yes.
What happened?
Look, all you got to say is, not to give too much intel or anything, but I don't know how people did it before the internet and dating apps and location drops. It's an amazing.
Well, Jack and I can tell you how that worked. Because you guys are young. So Jack and I can tell you about how you actually used to have to talk to people in person.
Well, you met your lady on a website.
I did meet her.
That was a different website.
I met her on a site. Yeah. It's all good. I know, true story.
That's a different website.
Hey, so Jack, there is a new course being built in the Dismal region. Yes. Sandhills region. We are all scheduled to be out there in early June. What is it, Jack, now that you've been to Dismal twice with Mr. Hyland, this crew will have a second year. You and I, Jack, will have our 3rd year in a row. What is it that we should plan this year to really make it special and different at Dismal? Because last year we set a pretty high bar, and I just don't want to be underwhelmed when Mike D 4 putts for $5,000.
Whoa! We're gonna get it. If we're gonna get a little bit of purse going, I think I'm gonna drink only half of what Slaw drinks this time, because that guy drinks quadruple Basil Hayden's on the rocks, and I've never seen anyone order a quadruple at a bar.
Well, and JB, I'm bringing an extra Fireball for when he's on the other team and he feeds it to his teammates.
Don't talk about J Armor.
The fact that we only had 2 bottles of Fireball was the biggest mistake of that trip, because then we cleaned out the poor cart girls. They were out of Fireball by the last day.
And are you still following? Are you still following the cart girl on Instagram, JB?
Shout out to Callie. Shout out to Callie. Best cart girl on the planet. Best service, phenomenal. Well, and not to mention, she drives a Razor at 60 miles an hour to come get to you. Yeah, it makes you feel special.
I will say this, much like the Russian military, we do need to do our logistics planning a lot better. So
you're the commissioner.
Logistics plan, coolers in the back of cars with, in your case, Fireball. That ups the game right there. I don't know about like the golf games themselves. That's kind of like once we get the schedule of who's coming and where games are at. You know, we try to give everybody a fighting chance. So I think,
shit.
well, I think the golf will be fun. Obviously, VJ, as I like to call him, Violent J, he's still on suspension, so it'll be interesting. You know, I pulled the keys from my 88-year-old dad this year. That was tough. And I was like, hey, Dad, it's okay. You're the second guy I've pulled his keys from this year, right? The other guy's like 28, and it's a golf cart. But you know, so that at least as well, and obviously my commissioner status is a little bit tenuous. I get that. But as of right now, I'm looking forward to maybe VJ redeeming himself. You know, one of the things out there, and I don't know, you know, I should have site surveyed, but I'm so into golf anytime golf is around. But you know, they have shooting ranges.
Yeah.
And I know that's a little crazy thinking of people drinking and golf, but if they have like certain types of shooting ranges, which I should have checked, it probably would be fun a morning before we play when everybody has decently steady hands. I think you guys might enjoy shooting, and we could do some different showcase shooting for people if they're into that.
It's a new kind of biathlon. I like it, Commish.
You know, it's possible. I mean, I could bring the hardware. I think I can still train some people on some skill sets that they haven't seen before. It wouldn't be too advanced by modern special operations standards, but it would be good enough for civilians. And that might be fun. I'd certainly be willing to do that.
Then my other
first, though, boys.
Yeah, my other question, Commissioner. This comes from the great NFL mind that is JB Mathers. What's your royalty on the Washington football team being called the Commanders?
Oh, isn't that interesting? First of all, I don't think that was a good call.
Sounds like a USFL team.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I wish so. No royalties. The name's free. You got to earn it. I don't earned it. I earned mine.
If you aren't on the first tee at Dismal decked out in Commander's gear, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Here's the thing, though. If you go Commanders and Shane Falco is not quarterbacking your team, what are we even doing here? Footsteps south.
I guess the main thing, though, right, was probably right. Blois marketing and sales like the Washington football team couldn't get it done, but I liked it. I was like,
I liked the football team. I thought it was a good name.
I liked it too. Yeah,
I liked it too. No, I think they missed really bad on that one. No royalties. Good luck to them. You know, as we like to say.
I take it Tom Brady's not coming to Dismal, Mikey. Sounds like he's back doing the football thing.
Yeah,
it just depends.
Who knows on that?
There's not enough green smoothie juice at Dismal for Mr. Brady.
But
there's not enough fairway either.
We're going to keep working and expanding the group, you know, from the commissioner. It's a tour for all. Even the Saudis are welcome to come play.
Here's the thing I want to touch on real quick. Jason Hyland does not have an established handicap, and every time he came in, his group won every single time. I just want to say this. He needs to have an established handicap before we go back if we want a level playing field for all.
Mike, I heard him on the pod with you. It's recorded. His wife has given him permission to play every Tuesday night, establish a handicap. It's recorded. I've downloaded it. We will play it like torturous music over loudspeakers when he's putting, if he doesn't have a handicap before Dismal. Jack knows how important, you know, the music and the noise can be as a distraction for the enemy. And if Jason Hyland's the enemy, everything's fair game.
You know, as the commissioner, I will say this. I do agree, even though he is my longtime partner, that he does need to have something established that is reasonable, because I've probably teed it up with him, and, you know, like most guys, whatever the handicap is, I mean, they hit it like 40% of the time, you know, if they're single maybe or something like that. Jason like far exceeded, and I was a little worried. And so then the last time we played here at Firethorn locally, maybe he threw off, maybe he realized that, but I finally saw big time chinks in his armor. I think he ramps, guys. I think he is the ultimate.
Well,
for the
everybody
majors
does.
guy.
For the people listening at home on their couches who like to get in Twitter arguments with me, handicap measures potential.
Yeah.
Okay. Handicap is not your average score. It measures your potential. If JB is a 15 handicap, that measures his potential. He's going to shoot anywhere between 85, 87, 1 to 3 out of every 10 rounds. Out of every 10 rounds. Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I was going to say take
So
the over.
what did my
towards 100,
potential look
but
like the morning you guys met me at Sand Hills?
I will say this: your potential was, I thought you were a serial killer. Okay, because Kenton, who I had met before, was super ecstatic. Right, like we're in the pro shop, we're getting Sand Hills gear. We're at one of the top 5 courses in the country. Just met Ben Crenshaw the night before. JB missed out on a steak and mac and cheese. Rest in peace.
We had Arby's though.
But all of a sudden, fucking Arby's. So all of a sudden, show up and I'm like, oh man, I'm excited. I'm going to give Blaze a high five, hug, the little bro thing, whatever. And Blaze just said nothing. And I was like, man, this is gonna be a tough egg to crack today. So through like 4 or 5 holes, I'm like, I'm gonna get this guy to talk to me, whether he likes it or not. So as soon as we got a little bit of alcohol and Blaze and the 5-yard fade started coming out, playing the soccer ball out there. I mean, the guy was an absolute legend.
Well,
He's
it
absolute
probably,
legend.
it probably didn't help that we didn't even know his fucking name for the first 5 holes.
I thought that he was a former stripper that wore assless leather chaps, according to Jason. That's what I thought. And then this guy shows up. He's got his button-down tie looking like Bobby Jones going out to play Augusta. And I'm like, my God, who did we just bring in here? Holy crap. And he's riding with Kenton, you know? I mean, who would have thought?
Royalty. Country royalty out there.
Here's the other update I heard that Jack, I think you need to break it to Danny Woodhead. If gas prices remain what they are, we all have to team up on the carts, including Woody. He can't have his own cart.
Oh God, it's the funniest thing, man. So I've told him, and I'm working really hard this year because, as we know, Danny is day by day a better player than I am. But I'm working really hard to qualify in the match plays so that I can get him. Because I've told him, I go, bro, I will slow play you to the point of penalties, right? Just to slow you down. Like, just know if we get in legit amateur competition, just know I'm going to slow play you. I don't know anybody whose game goes from where it is to off, like fall off the cliff once they're not playing their pace of play, independent of everybody else on the golf course. It's the most bizarre thing with Danny, and hence, you know, the nickname Zoom Zoom or Sonic. Like, it's crazy how he can't play. And that's even when we walk, he's way out ahead. It's the craziest thing, man. I guess the guy, what is it? His metabolism is just rolling fast. But yeah, I like when he gets put in a cart with somebody else and he has to deal with it. It's entertaining for me, who gets to play with him a lot, to watch it, and he fidgets and shots start going, you know,
I
wayward.
think he and Violent J in the same car.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
In the afternoon.
Yes.
In the afternoon.
Yes.
In the
all right,
afternoon,
noted. Commissioner taking notes, because let's be honest, that could be a competitive advantage. So we need to reel that in. No doubt about it. Good stuff.
MD, I'm all serious. I know you have a hookup with Phil. He needs a new PR guy, and I'm willing to discount my services.
I mean, this is 96% true. And yes, he does need that. He does need your PR services, but if you basically market your PR services that you've done for the city of Minneapolis the last 3 years or two years, I'm not sure if that's going to work out.
Wow.
You know, it might go up in flames, but it looks like Riggins is just prepared for the question, holding up that picture. Look at that.
Now we got our
Riggins.
story. We wanted one SEAL story. Now we got it.
We got it. But I will say this about, it looks like we lost Blaze.
He's
or
back.
either that or
Blaze is coming back.
Okay, I
that's
know.
great.
Yeah.
There it
Oh
is.
no! Oh
Look
no!
at that
That's a
guy.
professional picture.
Whoa.
Holy shit! Whoa! Oh my god. I get
Was
a
that
12
the
handicap
Saudis? Did the Saudis
no,
do that?
can I get a 12 handicap with a side of chowder? I will say
was definitely the
this: we
Russians.
got when we showed up to Dismal, we JB and I got absolutely harpooned because we are at Sand Hills and like we're getting ready, and Jason texts us and he goes, "Hey guys, we got dinner 6:30 or whatever it was," and I'm like, "Hey, we're just grabbing a quick bite here. We'll be over and whatever." And he goes, "We have dinner at 6:30." I'm like, "Okay, I guess we have dinner at 6:30. We'll head over to Dismal River. We'll drive there." So on the way there, JB and I are like, we have no idea what there is to drink. We grab a couple 30 packs of Coors Light, 4 bottles of Fireball, whatever. We go down to the room. The first thing we do is we meet Jay and Scott Niedergang with their shirts off in their cabin next to us. It looked like something out of Deliverance. It was weird. And so we then drive our car back up to go have dinner. We come out, somebody had left and taken our car back to the room. We lost all of our beer, all of our Fireball, except for the 2 bottles that we had taken into the room in order to have while we were getting ready. So it was just one of those things where it's like we were basically put behind the 8 ball.
Our
And
room
we didn't
wasn't
know what
ready,
to do.
and they broke my goddamn phone.
Potato, tomato, same thing. Yeah, you broke your own phone, dude, because you didn't have a strap there, and you're driving and you're flipping on. Who's gonna come meet you on Bumble in Dismal River, Nebraska?
Callie?
Like you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna swipe it. I'm like, Jesus, man, just drive the car up the fucking hill so we don't die. I mean, come on.
Commander, how'd you meet Phil Mickelson?
Yeah, it's interesting. And by the way, like, I don't know if this is like a family heirloom egg or there's like dinosaur. I don't know what this is actually, but it's in my house. And I tossed it from the top thing and like juggled it off camera. I'm so lucky. I don't know what it is. I think my
The
mom gave it
Ukrainian
to me
Easter
for
egg,
something.
and you're about
Yeah,
to.
no, it's more special than that. It's some kind of China
I
thing.
want to have a conversation with the wife about that one.
Yeah. Well, no, it's definitely from my mother. And so that
Oh.
was like, thank God. Anyway, I'm gonna put that down.
Yeah.
No,
shit.
actually, it's kind of a funny story, and I'll try to make it quick. Because obviously the players did end today, which was interesting, right? Just the way that tournament went down. But this picture was taken. I want to say, well, here's how I remember it. Tiger Woods had just had the incident with his wife. So was that 10?
9, I
Guys?
believe.
No,
Nine.
it was
Thanksgiving of
2009.
09.
Going back to the Seal story of why his leg was broken.
Yeah. Anyway,
Continue.
So 9, 10, it was the players after that. And I was picked to present to Phil Mickelson for Birdies for the Brave, which if you were in San Diego, Phil had started Birdies for the Brave in the San Diego area. And he was, for every birdie he made, he was given money to school kids. But then the tour had a thing for the troops called Birdies for the Brave. And at some point, well below me, this had to be worked out. And so this was like the ceremony that the tour was going to bring Phil in to acknowledge that Phil started it. And which is true. I lived in San Diego at the time. It is true. He started that name, but the tour had great success with it. And it was great for guys like me and other veterans. We got a lot of access to golf courses, and I think they still run a similar program. Tour's been great to veterans. But anyway, so I was to give like the keynote as an active duty guy there at that Players. And there's 2 things I remember about it. I had not met then Commissioner Tim Finchem before. And like anybody that takes leave from a military thing and goes to a quote unquote safe place like Sawgrass with their buddies, I was hitting it pretty hard, like I used to, right? And why I'm retired now from the sauce.
Just don't get caught.
And don't get caught. And I didn't get caught, but it was a hard night the night before. And I had to give up and give this keynote. Now I've given lots of keynotes and this, that, and another thing. And I knew I was going to, give my talk, and then Phil Mickelson was going to come up and get the flag. And that's what the picture is. And so it was cool. But walking over there, they're like, hey, you need to meet with the commissioner. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. Just shake his hand or whatever. Oh no. Like I got sat down I got sat down for the first time ever doing a public like military address and kind of told the left and right limits based on what had just happened to Tiger. and that in no way, shape, or form, right, should that be brought up. Meaning
So he
just
straight told you not to bring up Tiger Woods.
well, just meaning like as you talk about service and everything, like and we're honoring Phil for Birdies of the Brave, like the Tiger Woods situation is still very hot, right? I mean, hey, I get it. That's the PGA Tour, right? I mean, I'm respectful of their institution, and I'm just there presenting to Phil on behalf.
Yeah, and no part of you is like, motherfucker, I'm a Navy SEAL. Who are you?
No, I mean, I get it. I understand what they're saying, and nobody really knew what was going on, right? So it was a delicate thing. So nonetheless, the nice thing is I got up and gave that talk. I was dehydrated tremendously. I had on my like dress uniform, which was terribly uncomfortable because I was probably no longer my 24-year-old self. And what I didn't realize though, when I took the stage in the tent was, call it naive. I couldn't believe how many television cameras were there, but no big deal. I say my piece, Phil comes up, shake his hand, meet him a little off camera, get the agent's card, say we live in San Diego. I'm hoping one day I'll get to play some golf with him. And unfortunately I ended up moving from San Diego 3 months later and never returned. No big deal. Don't know where the agent's car is. I'm not one of those guys anyway, but it would have been a cool little deal. But when I walk out of there, all I want to do is get out of that uniform and like run and curl up in a fetal position because of the night before. Right. And there's Tim Rosefort. Yeah. Boom. Mike right in my face.
The late great.
Right. The late great now. And Mike right in my face. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to like do this right. And I'm just profusely sweating. And like anybody that's ever drank too much knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mike and
never.
Yeah.
Never.
And I'm like, oh my God. And then I go back to my buddy's house. And of course it's running on live from the players every 20 minutes, every hour, right? The talk, the Rosefort interview. And I'm like, oh my God. So it was cool though, but it was cool. I got to do a lot of talking for Birdies for the Brave for about 2 or 3 years and represent active duty. And probably what was the most fun that day. And I think they honored George Bush Sr. that day too, which was kind of cool. Cause they do it upright. But, I was going to say was the funniest part for me, right? I'm a golfer really. And, is, so I'm at the Sawgrass Marriott, and the day of the cut, Padraig Harrington doesn't make the cut. I think it was this one. It might've been the next year. So I'm still hitting the sauce. I'm down after that day at the Sawgrass bar. If anybody's been to that Marriott, they know what I'm talking about. And, like, I'm just by myself having a couple of drinks, and all of a sudden like some firemen come in behind me and they like take the booth kind of corner over here. And all of a sudden they start getting rowdy. Right. And I can tell it's like dudes like frogmen, like they're starting to get patriotic. Like they're starting to get loud. I'm like, I like this. Right. And so like, next thing you know, I'm over with them. I mean, we're singing songs. It's all about America. I mean, these are some great Americans. And then I kind of go back over to my bar and I'm not really paying attention to who's sitting to my left. And then finally I look over and it's Padraig Harrington, and he's doing what we're doing. Right. And so he sees the fireman too. And I'm like, yeah, fireman, man, and all of a sudden, they know some Irish tunes or whatever. So now it starts to become this big hoop-de-bah. Well, finally, like it gets really late and Padraig starts talking about golf. Right. So eventually we kind of firemen leave. We sit there and he starts in that voice talking about he can't chip, blah, blah, blah. He's very negative. And, I'm a nice guy. I'm a golfer. I'm sympathetic. So I'm like, oh man, you'll be good. You'll be good. And I'm like, oh no, this bro's down. Like he's down hard on himself. And he's pulling back and he's like, hold on 1 minute or however, do the voice, somebody, he says it in that accent. And it's just
another one
bizarre. He goes up and he gets his bag and he comes down and we sit at the back for like 3 hours chipping. Damn near till the sun. Yeah. Damn near till the sun came up.
That's pretty fucking epic.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think in my mind it was till the sun came up, but it was longer than I would have expected. And
please tell me
was
he
working
asked
out the
for
kinks
advice on his chipper.
He
Did he
was
ask you
working.
for any help?
Like, no, we were just chipping balls.
He's currently off the tour, Doug. He's off the tour.
Yeah.
It didn't end up working, but it may have been a Band-Aid, which is what we're all about.
Right. He was just working it out. And I sympathize with the man that was like grinding in his craft, having a few drinks, and it was like late night. I think I've got something. And I just stood there and just facilitated. I mean, I just watched. I was like, hey man, I was like, they're people too.
That is awesome.
Last thing before we finally got to end
Blaze is asleep.
So yeah, poor Blaze. I mean,
By
the way, Jason says hi to everybody. He literally just texted me. He is ecstatic that Cameron Smith won the Players Championship, $3.6 million. His and my ex have got to be really pissed off at this point. But he wanted to say hi.
Mikey, does that bother you that you brag about dating the same girl Cameron Smith did? He is probably the ugliest person on tour.
I am going to preach the love of Ray J right now. I had her first.
What I love is that Blois is just out. He's like, okay, I'm done.
Wasn't that cough syrup, bro? Is that COVID syrup or what is that?
No, it was just cough drops. Luden's Wild Cherry, like when you were a kid.
He's got 3 public events tomorrow, Mikey. Cut him some slack.
Yeah. Plus, I have this 620 radio hit, and MD always texts me and he goes, "God, you get up early."
Well, the nice thing about when I get up is I can see what the weather is in Minneapolis because I scroll through Instagram and I can see where your dog goes. Dog name is Maverick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Maverick's tracks and where he took a shit and all that other stuff. And you're like, what a beautiful morning in Minneapolis. And I'm like, man, it looks colder and shit there, but it's sunny. I love that.
Hey, Blaze, to your credit, you do make 8 degrees look okay.
You do. Well, you gotta. I mean, this is the bold north. Haven't you heard?
Because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, God, how do people live like that? And then I'm like, okay. It looks like he's like, I envision you like having apple pie with breakfast, and it's all.
JB, I have no doubt you could handle it. I think you're pretty tough. Riggins would have no problem. MD did 4 years in the Midwest, and it almost killed him. So he's probably, just a little too soft to come back.
Listen, dude, when I was there, the 4 years that I was there, we had 4 of the worst winters in the last 35 years. When I was there, I had bronchitis 4 times in 4 years, and I still went out and drank every night. And
Weak
then
genetics.
No, that's okay. No, I mean, everything can be built up, right? It's called an immune system.
That's how you survive.
That's how you survive. So, but I mean, the thing is, I remember being hungover in a class one time on a Monday, and my professor goes, "Hey, we're doing this research project. What'd you research this weekend?" And I said, "Mixology with a side of anatomy." And he wasn't like really too thrilled on the answer, and then he thought about it, and he goes, "That's actually pretty clever."
Yeah.
What's your over under on how many times you throw up this weekend in Cabo?
Oh,
that's what
3.
I was thinking. I think the Vegas line is going to be 2.5.
2.5.
I think there's how many hours is JB there before he breaks his phone?
Okay, this ain't my first rodeo. The phone's not even going to cross the border. Okay, I'm going to
tell you guys now.
What did Riggins tell me? Don't get caught. Well, there's going to be no proof.
Literally, don't get caught. I'm going to say a little prayer for you guys, but it sounds like it's going to be epic, and I wish you the best. But listening to that, I'm like, oh my God, that's like epic but crazy. And I do want to say, because I know
room for you. We got a tea time at Rancho San Lucas. Just
no, I'm still in winter hibernation, and I do want to say, dinner. I know there's a lot of golf people that probably listen to this, but the tour, the Birdies for Brave program, and all the people I met, Phil Mickelson, I have nothing but the best to say about him. I've been treated and had great experience around golfers. To your point, JB, and even Mike D, when you try to explain SEAL Team to somebody, it's so hard, right? With all the TV and stuff now. But what I would say is the personalities are storytellers, and get your best group of 4 or 8 guys and go on a golf trip. And that's like what SEAL team is like every day, right? The highs, the lows, the crazy, the nuttery, the good stuff, everything. That's about what day-to-day life is like in SEAL team.
I'm going to butt in real quick and just say something. So Bryson DeChambeau did not play the Arnold Palmer Invitational, where he's the defending champ, because he said he was only 90%. Okay. Obviously, he's never been on a guy's golf trip, because after day one of Dismal, I was running on 24%. And I was out there absolutely gaming it. Okay. So the fact that he sits there and says, "Oh, I'm only 90%," all this other bullshit, I'm like, you know what? You obviously can't get through a freaking guy's golf trip. I just don't. Yeah.
It's a slap in the face to anyone who's ever taken a boys' golf trip.
Anyone who's ever taken a boys' golf trip, you're out there to play as much golf as possible.
I think it's a slap in the face to anybody in any competitive environment. Like, I've never understood that over the last 10 years. Like, I'm only like who cares? Like, in the end of the day, you're either, nobody's ever fully mission capable. You're always partially mission capable, and rarely are you non-mission capable. So in the end, you just go out and compete. But I just don't. I never have gotten that. It's like, I don't know anybody that's been 100% in anything.
So I think we just found our new hashtag for principal: mission capable.
Mission capable and don't get caught.
Mission
Blaze,
capable.
where can people? Where can they find you on social media, or if they want to listen to those hard-hitting updates at 6:20 a.m. at 8 Below?
WCCO Radio, WCCOradio.com, or I'm Blois Olson on Twitter, and you can find my thoughts there. And you guys, best of luck. Kenton and I will send you a little picture of us raising one to MD this week when we're having dinner Friday.
I love that. I'm all here for it.
Wow.
Commander Jack Riggins, where can we catch you?
Wow. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Riggins_Jack. Not so active there, but when I am, I am. The other thing, you can catch me on the KLIN 1400 app, which is my radio show here in Lincoln, Nebraska, 5 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, conservative talk radio.
Drive Time Lincoln.
Oh,
that's right. Drive Time Lincoln.
You can also find these guys liking my Twitter rants on Friday about some guy saying Taylor Gooch is a shitty player.
The nerve. Hey, I can't wait.
I put that guy in a body bag.
Professionally, you can find me, Danny Woodhead, Matt Slauson, and the doc at performancemountain.com. But good times, fellas. Really appreciate the invite. One of these days, we'll have to have Blois and I talk. What we need to do is pick something in a hat and debate, Blois.
I'm game.
I love that.
We're going to do a super show from Dismal.
Absolutely.
There you go.
We will be mediators. We're looking forward to it.
I want JB involved, though, too.
JB is very middle of the road. He doesn't quite give his opinion like I do.
And my D will be the fact checker.
You have, yeah, right.
It's the principal. Thanks, guys.